Welcome to Trench Tactics, my series where I aim to provide a breakdown of factions, sub-factions, and strategies for the game of Trench Crusade. Today we are looking at the 1.0.1 changes and how they have affected New Antioch. Once again, an update has massively impacted the most outdated video on my channel, and once again I'm going to talk about the impact to minimize the misinformation my last one might cause. Fantastic news, everyone. Fireteams have been reverted. This actually improves things for more than just New Antioch, but of course they are the main benefactor. The wording has changed to say you can activate models that are part of the same fireteam simultaneously, making it optional. This is a big nerf reversion, meaning that for New Antioch, the activation economy is now much easier to manage. You now have a chance at being able to delay your key models in early turns to see what your opponent does first. Not only this, but your early dash actions that are generally taken are far less punishing for fireteams. Overall, this is such a good fix. It makes New Antioch far more fun and increases tactical depth by adding the decision making back in. I wonder if they ever really meant to take this out, or if it was just a wording mistake that had all of us New Antioch players doom posting. Concentrated fire remains as is, no changes, but I feel it is important to point something out that many players aren't aware of. Concentrated fire still works even if the two models in the team weren't activated at the same time. As long as the attack was made in the same turn, it qualifies the other model for the discount bloodbath at any point in that round. This means you have even more tactical options for getting those bloodbath procs off. Next, I want to talk about a clarification that has been made in a recent FAQ. What has been revealed is that if a model in machine armour has the ability Tough and is taken out of action, they actually do not go down. This is most relevant, of course, to the Lieutenant, who can be given machine armour and will benefit from this. As a small experiment, I actually tried to check for what could take the Lieutenant in machine armour to the down state, and I found a few things. The Standard of Mammon from the Knights of Avarice can cause them to go down and stay down while in melee, if they finish a charge within 1 inch of the model with the standard and fail a success roll. Aura of Sloth from the Desecrated Saint Sloth Sin seems to get past it, as it causes models within 8 inches to treat minor hits as down results, and specifically states it affects things like machine armour. The Murad Bombard of the Brazen Bull states that models within the blast radius of the weapon are taken down, which, by way of wording, means it gets around the down defences of machine armour. Away Serpents of the New Antioch's Irie faction means with a difficult success roll made by a Trench Cleric, they can put the Lieutenant into the down state, as it isn't an injury roll. And lastly, failing a diving charge forces a model onto the down state as well, as that happens aside from rolling on the injury table. Like I theorized in my last video, Satchel Charges have been fixed. It was not rules as intended, they are indeed a once per game weapon. In spite of them not being completely unreasonably broken, they are still much better than they were, as they ignore armour and have a +1 dice to injure everything in the radius, which makes them a very strong, if risky, trump card for New Antioch. The heavy explosives trait specifies once during a game, and they are still consumable, so must be repurchased after a battle if played in a campaign. Remember to play honestly when it comes to consumables. Like the rulebook says, be strict with yourself and lenient with others. Keep in mind when looking for prime satchel throw spots that Blast has also received a clarification, where you must target a model directly or an unoccupied spot on the battlefield, not just a spot under the model's base. I'll talk more about that later. There are a couple of other notable changes for New Antioch, just some weapon adjustments really. The heavy shotgun is basically the same, but ever so slightly better. It gained the +1 injury dice and shotgun keywords, but lost one of the +1 injury dice from its alloy shot trait. This equals out, but it means the weapon no longer has -1 dice to hit at long range, and equals out to being a normal, flat injury roll. A good change, I would say. In other news, pistols aren't forced into melee skill when used in melee anymore. They can be used with either the melee or ranged skill when in melee combat, which I think is really cool. This also revives Priest 69. Fantastic. In terms of mechanical changes, a fairly big change is that you can no longer attack in melee and shoot in the same turn unless the weapon has the assault keyword. The way this was seen most commonly was if your model had been charged or was in melee for multiple rounds. It could kill the model it was in combat with a melee attack, and then be free to fire its weapon like an automatic rifle or flamethrower. This essentially punished melee strategies in a small way by giving opponents more value on their turns, just because you charged them. Well, now that's fixed, and only assault weapons can do that. Another good change, I'd say. Now the blast changes I mentioned. It was clarified that they cannot target points underneath other models' bases, as those are considered to be obscured. You can still throw them at enemy models, but it must either be directly on top of them, in the middle, centre of their base, or an unoccupied spot. I have no strong feelings about this change, but it's probably a positive one, as you have no easy way to specify the exact point of an opponent's base where you threw a blast weapon, when it's not the exact centre. To summarise, some important changes in this update that I am very pleased about. Fireteam reversion is huge, really huge, and the biggest buff we could have hoped for. Mechanised Tough not putting lieutenants down is great for those who run them that way, a nice little buff if you didn't do it before. Pistol changes are minor, but do revive John Wick Priest, which is obviously gargantuan for Priest 69 enthusiasts. And I'd classify the changes to shooting after melee as a buff to assault, which New Antioch typically loves, so a beneficial change for New Antioch as a whole. As for nerfs, nothing major. Satchel Charges were obviously never meant to be infinite, and it would have been horrible for the health of the game balance if they were. And lastly, changes to blast targeting could be seen as a small nerf, but genuinely a really minor change. That's all for this video, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much as well to my channel members Jack Pembroke, Garrett Wilson, Andrew Olson, Christian Westerland and Kafisk Samlal. Your support means so much. Also a big thanks to my Lieutenant tier patron, Xavier Romero. I offer personal amateur coaching on my Patreon at this tier, so check that out in the description if you're interested. Anyway, if you enjoyed, like and share the video, leave a comment telling me what you want to see next, subscribe if you want to stick around, and become a channel member or patron if you want to honour me with that support. In return, you'll get your name in the credits, and soon a vote on what faction or sub-faction gets covered next. This has been Trench Tactics, I'll see you around.